the opener of the 2024 Copa America. Argentina, the defending champions, winning 2-0 over what must be said was a very game Canada squad. This one scoreless at the half. Argentina getting a goal from Julian Alvarez 4 minutes into the second half. That gave them the 1-0 lead. Then Lautaro Martinez getting a goal in the 88th minute to finish things off at 2-0. Argentina taking all 3 points. We will surely give Canada their flowers in the coming minutes, but let's start with Argentina. Herc, what'd you make of their performance tonight?
Standard Argentina performance for their home openers. I think 6 out of the last 7 home openers in major tournaments, whether it be Copa America or World Cup, they had not won. It's either a tie or a loss. We saw last World Cup versus Saudi Arabia. They were surprised. It's usually a slow start by Argentina. It doesn't mean that they can't go on and win the group, win the tournament, do some damage, but this is how they start. It wasn't the exception tonight. You said it, a Canada team that was very game. But I think a lot of that was because Argentina didn't know what to make of them at first. Argentina didn't know how to confront the line of confrontation from Canada. Canada, with Jesse Marsch, you thought would have high pressed, because that's been his staple throughout his coaching career. No, they sat back 55 yards, just waited, allowed the Argentine team to have the ball, try to create that space in a little rope-a-dope attempt. And about the time they figured out second half for Argentina, they had their chances. They had a slew of chances in front of goal. I thought they were very wasteful. This is a 2-0 game, and Canada did very well to represent Canada itself and CONCACAF. But this could have been realistically a 5-2 type of game. I mean, Canada had their licks, but Argentina was just very wasteful in front of the net.
What'd you make of Argentina?
Listen, I thought they started well enough, and I'm with Herc in that I feel Canada posed problems that they just didn't seem to be expecting. And kind of struggled to deal with. I thought the bigger story here is Canada. Listen, Argentina are reigning world champions, pound for pound. This shouldn't really be a contest, yet Canada managed to make it one. But Argentina got the win. They got that first win under their belt. They're up and running in this tournament. And I think they get better. They dust off the cobwebs and have started as they would hope. There's not a lot more I can say about Argentina, in all honesty. They had chances. Messi had a couple, but just failed to put them away. But again, it's business done, but not really much to phone home about.
It was very similar to the opening game versus Saudi Arabia in the World Cup, in where Canada here doesn't take advantage of the chances like Saudi Arabia did. Saudi Arabia scored their 2 goals. But look at the chances that Argentina had in that game. They had 3 goals called back in that opening match. I mean, they were in front of the net. They just couldn't finish. It's the same type of thing. I agree the story here is Canada, because nobody expected that.
Yeah.
Lately, it's been a far cry from the Canadian national team that won World Cup qualifying en route to the 2022 World Cup, their first World Cup in, 35 years? It's not been that same Canadian side. The opening game with Jesse Marsch in his era was against the Netherlands, and when they were trounced 4-0. And then the second game that they had a 0-0 tie versus France, which is a very good team. So you were kind of curious, what kind of Canadian national team will you expect? I thought they were very good in taking their chances.
The expectations for Argentina, obviously, in this tournament are to win it. Other teams will see what Canada did, how they were able to give Argentina problems and maybe try and have a blueprint. What's the worry for Argentina coming out of this game?
That when Canada, and again, stories Canada, and maybe more to the point, Jesse Marsch here. But I thought at times Canada employed a low block, which Argentina struggled really to find their way through. At times, Messi, just as Messi always seems to do, when he gets on the ball, he finds passes that no one else can see. But other than that, I just didn't see Canada getting unstuck when they employed that rear guard, as I say, unless Messi had the ball at his feet. But then on the other side of that kind of tactical shift from Jesse Marsch, there were times that Canada pressed high and won the ball back in the attacking third, certainly in Argentina's half of the park, and had Argentina scrambling defensively. Just as they started to move numbers forward in trying to play out of Canada's press, they got that press absolutely right, won it back. And then the difference between the two, again, maybe is the quality of player that either team can call on in their attacking third. So I thought there was a lot that Canada did really well tactically. If somebody else can match that, Herc spoke about the Netherlands game a few weeks ago, where I thought, again, in that one, Canada equipped themselves really well early on, but just ran out of steam. And then given Argentina's possession, that was my concern for Canada early on, that they would again run out of steam and this would become very easy. They didn't. They made this a contest right down to the very end. So it shows an improving Canada national team. And to your question, Seb, if others looking on at this are trying to take pointers from that, is that everybody has to be working. Everybody has to be in sync and hope that if other teams can call on better quality players, better quality finishers, maybe they get a different result.
You know what's interesting is Canada obviously had their chances, some really good chances in the first half, but Argentina had a lot of chances as well. I don't know how much of a panic alarm we want to sound about Argentina. They win 2-0, it's fine. Julian Alvarez is the number 9. I wonder what you thought of his performance, because the guy who comes in the second half is the other potential 9. Lautaro Martinez, coming off a great season in Serie A, scores a goal. He had a couple other chances that he missed as well. But I'm thinking if you're Scaloni and you're saying, well, my team wasn't as ruthless as I would like, you do have another option there to make a change if you want.
This is the World Cup repeating itself all over, because the default 9 was Lautaro Martinez. He was.
But he was like injured, and there was a health thing there.
But he left the door open for Julian, and Julian took advantage of that. He scored 4 goals in the World Cup. He was massive, not only in the way he was helping in the attack, but in how he's effortless, or I should say, in his energy, and how he runs for Messi, and how he's willing to do dirty things. So a guy like Messi can do what he does on the ball offensively, concentrate on that. That is valuable. I don't know if Lautaro is going to give you the same type of play, but certainly if you have an option like that, a hot hand, it's going to come in handy. You asked what other teams could learn from this. I thought Acuna, Molina, oftentimes were exposed for pace. If Jesse Marsch did anything well, it's setting his team up tactically to really expose the Argentine back line with some of the physically gifted athletes that he has. Tactically, or set up in a way where he knew they were going to have open space to take advantage of it. I thought it was brilliant. Much like you said, versus the Netherlands, Canada's going to have to measure those type of energy performances, because it is a full-octane type of style for Jesse Marsch, and you can run out of gas quick, especially in group play.
I think one of the big differences between Lautaro Martinez and Alvarez, and Argentina in possession, when they have comfortable possession, they try to make the pitch really wide, and I think Angel Di Maria is as good as anybody in playing right on the choke line. And for me, Alvarez is probably the better wide player than Lautaro Martinez. Listen, I know he can drift out from that centre, but more and more, and you see it particularly for Inter, he is very direct, kind of focuses central. When I think what Argentina tried to do, what Scaloni is trying to set them up to do, is have this threat coming from wide, pull defenses as wide as possible, allowing Messi more room through the middle of the park. Because as I mentioned, Messi in possession can thread a pass like nobody else. So if you can just drag some of those wing backs out, even give Messi an extra half a yard to thread the eye of a needle, you find Messi being even more effective than he already has. Which is why I think the preference right now is to stick with Alvarez, just because he is more likely to drift out wide and play in those wider areas.
Herc, we're looking right now at Messi's heat map from the game against Canada. What do you think of his performance?
You know, wow.
It's kind of a weird one, right?
Well, it's typical, because I could sit here and say I thought Messi was wasteful in front of the goal, and he probably should want 1, if not 2 back. It was that type of day for him. Diego Martinez had a couple where he literally put it on his foot, and it's one-way traffic. Messi 1v1 with Maxime Crepeau, and he misses. And you don't expect Messi to miss a chip that he's made 1,000 times before, whether in a Barcelona shirt, Argentina shirt, or now we see
Gio dos Santos
Miami.
would have finished that.
Yeah, maybe. But he still makes his impression, makes his mark. He gets an assist. He's a player that constantly attracts players with his movement when he has the ball, with his vision. He can dissect. He can open you up. He's that type of player. Even when he's not at his best, he's constantly the most dangerous player on the field because of those abilities in that final third. But he was quiet.
By his standards.
Quiet, and yet sets up both goals.
Yeah. And I think that's Lionel Messi, as we were saying before. Lionel Messi even in his twilight, not himself, is better than 98% of the players who've ever played the game. And there are a couple of things, and Herc is right. Messi missed a couple of chances that ordinarily you'd put your mortgage on, which raised a lot of eyebrows when you see those chances go wide. But then I'm looking at his game in totality, and I'm thinking of a Messi in his twilight, as I phrase it. In possession, still impossible to dispossess.
Yeah.
You simply do not pick Lionel Messi's pocket. When he gets the ball and he has space, he still can thread a pass like nobody else can. And we saw that at times during the course of this game. There was one play down midway through, back end of the second half. Emi Martinez drills one over the top. Lionel Messi comes from the half line, keeps himself onside. Lionel Messi, at his age, defenders still cannot make up ground on him. He's still able to put his body in possessions. Yes, he goes for a little trip over Crepeau and gets that wrong. But the fact that nobody is making up ground on Lionel Messi in a foot race from the half line, again, speaks to the threat that he still possesses. He's not going to miss many of those chances that you saw today. And that's the worry, that when it all comes together, that Lionel Messi, again, not at his best, but still arguably one of the best players, if not the best player on the planet.
The last time we, though, seriously evaluated him at like international level competition was the World Cup. At that point, he was playing on one of the best teams in the world, certainly at a high level. He's now at a very different level, and he's been in Major League Soccer for over a year now. And you're saying he's missing chances that he usually wouldn't.
Yeah.
Is any of that down to where he plays, rust over the level?
Possibly. You can see that as being a factor. But then you take a game or two to get back into top speed. And I think that's the big takeaway from it, because all the parts are still there. All the parts we still evidenced today, but that finishing touch. Maybe in playing in Major League Soccer, he has half a second more and is able to be a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more controlled in those little dings that he likes to go for. But again, given what we've seen, I think it's just a slight adjustment for Lionel Messi.
Messi shut out, MLS to blame. You see what I did there?
Yeah, I see what
We're not going to have too many friends in the New York offices. What do you think?
I'm not too sure. I think you give up. Listen, I know he's days shy of being 37 years of age, but he's still one of the best players in the final third in the world today. I don't care where he plays. You give a player of that caliber, that experience, that time and space, he's going to hurt you. And even on his best day, you just said it, he set up 2 goals. Could have had 2 more himself. We're talking about a guy who in the last 2 major tournaments for Argentina, that they won, by the way, Copa America and the World Cup, is going on, 11 goals? You know? 2 goals that he sets up today, just like against Saudi Arabia in the opening day of the World Cup for Argentina. Maybe he wasn't at his best, but you can never say that he won't be at his best the next game. I think it's the beauty of Lionel Messi.